All right, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. Appreciate it as always. Today is the 2nd of September. This is the second day of the September Walking Challenge for those of you that are participating. That is on the Angry Prepper Fitness channel if you guys are looking into doing a decent, not so challenging, but might be challenging for some walking challenge. So let's get the 5x5s out of the way. J966, thank you for the 5x5. Mr. Landfill, Ozark, Bass, Dork, Occult, thank you for the 5x5. Evolving Media, Sorsa, Sarita, thank you for the 5x5. Raccoon Eyes, Flown Grown, Dobie, Groundhog, Rhonda, Gina, Joe, thank you for the 5x5. Maria, Michelle, Tristan, Ravenwolf, thank you for the 5x5. Chad, Renee, Tom Tom, thank you for the 5x5. F you all, Nowhere, Water Tiger, Jeep Dog, thank you for the 5x5. Miss Nancy, Trail Name, South, PA Mama Bear, Dog Walker, thank you for the 5x5. Silver, Kimberly, Let's Go, Wayne, thank you for the 5x5. John Paul, Lone Wolf, thank you for the 5x5. Occurs, thank you for the 5x5. All American Prepper, thank you for the 5x5. Wayne. Prep to Adapt, Maria Jackson, and Joe 59, thank you for the 5x5. Appreciate it as always, guys. On Rumble, that is. Thank you for the 5x5 on Rumble. Laura, Adam, Kathy, Back to Basics, thank you for the 5x5. Laura Tazale, thank you for the 5x5. Roy Batty, TEOTWAWKI means the end of the world as we know it. That's what it means. Again, no, you don't see that much. You don't see that often, actually. Or at least not anymore. So, yeah. Anyway, Henry, thank you for the 5x5. So, tonight we're going over, and I talked about this a couple of times in some of my videos, and I even mentioned it on here, how there were a lot of end-of-the-world dates. And we're going to go over a lot of the end-of-the-world dates. Probably all of them, because we have time. But I find it interesting, guys, that every year, some channel, whether that's a prepper channel, a conspiracy theory channel, they're talking about the end of the world. And with that, we're still here. Now, the end of the world dates is not a new concept. It's been around since, if I'm not mistaken, like right after Christ was murdered, killed, however you want to sacrifice, however you want to look at it. It started pretty much not right after that, but soon after. And I think the first date might have been a few hundred years after he was killed. So again, and that the first date I think is going back 793 or 39. I can't remember quite. But actually, sorry, well, further than that, about 400. The year 400, or roughly in that year it started. So again, we're still here, and ever so often, you know, there'll be a group of people who think that this date is it, and that they come together and they do something stupid. The last stupid group of people to do this were the people who met downtown in Times Square, who thought that the world was going to end by a light switch. I forgot the time. I think it was like 7:15 or something like that at night, and they were all at Times Square, and they were looking at the world clock, and they're sitting there like ready to cheer it on. And yeah, man, we're still here. So, quick story about that. There was a New York City fireman who believed in that, and if I'm not mistaken, this guy took a loan on his pension or his deferred comp to give money to that preacher so that he could advertise the end of the world all over the United States. Well, long and short of it is that this preacher, if you will, conned people out of their money by stating you're not going to need it after this date and time. So people were donating money to him. They were dipping into their pensions, their deferred comps. Some people were giving up their life savings. And then nothing happened. So you have kooks and crazy people who do that kind of shit. And yeah, nowhere. These people didn't drink Kool-Aid. They specifically went off the word of another man. So there is one end of the world date that is not precise, but it's a roundabout, and that is 1 billion years from now. So according to science, 1 billion years from now, scientists predict that the complex life on Earth will end when the atmosphere that we are currently in collapses due to the sun's aging. They don't know exactly how that's going to look or what that's going to look like, but they have an idea that this is definitely going to end within 1 billion years, which is, again, pretty interesting, I guess or theory, you know. Linda Town, yes, Jim Jones was in Guyana, if I'm not mistaken, right? He had a little town down there called Jonestown, if I'm not mistaken, and he forced a lot of people to drink Kool-Aid. And then when people stopped drinking Kool-Aid because they saw the outcome of drinking Kool-Aid, he had his men go to war, right? And they were going after it. And even some of his men saw what was going on and were helping a lot of people escape from that situation. There is a documentary. I think there's a couple on Netflix, and there's even a couple on YouTube and even Rumble. You can go on there. And Raccoon Eyes, thank you for the 5x5 on Rumble. You can go on Rumble, YouTube, Netflix, right, and look up these Jim Jones documentary, and they're pretty interesting. The more interesting part of Jim Jones was in the beginning how he got everybody to follow him to Guyana, and then what happened in Guyana, and the breakdown of what happened in Guyana was pretty interesting. It was bad, but yeah. And I'll probably wind up doing a live stream on that, but on the Angry Truth channel, at like the breakdown of what happened. And it was actually like, even when you watch the documentary or you read about it, because there's a ton of books on it as well, when you read about it, the way he was forcing people to drink this stuff, it came to a point where they were holding people down and forcing this shit down their throat. They were also telling people you had to take this or you were going to get clapped, right? And people were choosing getting clapped over drinking that shit because they were watching other people pass away after drinking the Kool-Aid, right? So, I mean, and then bullets started flying. And then when bullets started flying, there was even a shootout between the guards, because some guards were like, we didn't sign up for this, and other guards were like, robots or whatever, Jim Jones will kill your people. And it got really, really ugly. And the neighboring town that was nearby Jim Jones, they approached the situation, and what they saw was out of control. But yeah, we shall see. Anyway, sorry, I was trying to read a text. Some people were choosing free burgers. Yeah, man. The whole burger thing for the arm ticket or the depopulation juice. I'm trying to think of a new snazzier name. But yeah, people taking burgers for something they didn't need. That was that was insane. I don't want to get into that. I want to focus on this. But anyway, so various dates have been predicted for the end of the world throughout history, often on religious texts and or calculations. Notable predictions include 2012, we all remember that, next year, and then 2060, with many stemming from interpretations of the Bible and other religious beliefs. Now, everybody who's interpreted the Bible's end date has gotten it wrong. Going back to, if I'm not mistaken, 400 CE, right? Back then they got it wrong. There was 500, 1000 CE, and then 1260 was the first actual date. Actually, I have the first actual date on Wikipedia. I will pull that up. But so, what is, here this is a prediction, or the predictor is Harold Camping. Wait a minute, is this the guy? Judgment Day. I think this is the asshole. Yeah, this is the idiot that was like the Times Square idiot, Harold Camping. I'm pretty sure it was him. David Koresh, that's that's an interesting one. Okay, hey, what was that one video you had pending about China? If they are not bluffing about this, we're screwed. Oh, conspiracy analysis. You got to wait for the Angry Truth channel. That's later tonight. It's talking about a specific device that China has, but that conversation is not going to go in the direction you think it's going to go in. But anyway, yes, Harold Kemp was the guy. That was 2011. That was the guy that claimed that Judgment Day followed the end of the world on October 21st, 2011. That's the idiot who was in Times Square with his followers, and they were all like, like, yes. And then, yeah, stupid. Morons. Idiots of the world. And then he had December 21st, 2012. A misinterpretation of the Mayan calendar led to widespread doomsday prediction. In fact, there was one guy who thought a portal was going to open up and he was going to jump. I think some of you remember this guy. He was going to jump off a cliff and it was supposed to be a portal. And at like midnight on December 12th, like 12:01 or some shit like that, a portal was supposed to open up and he was going to jump off this rock and the portal that we could not see was going to open up and he was going to jump right into it. I said, yo, even if the portal thing was real, jumping from the height he was jumping from through a portal was just going to accelerate his body through that portal and hit whatever the hell he was going to hit on the other side. So that was poor thinking on his part. But apparently his family, no pun intended, talked him off the ledge. So I thought that was interesting. I got a kick out of that. He actually had a live stream for that, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think the live stream ever happened because they talked him off the edge. Ruby Ridge All-American Prepper was a wake-up call, right? And then Waco was definitely it. And the thing about Waco is that I think a lot of information was lied about Koresh. I think Koresh was a bit of a kook, but I don't think he was doing half the shit that they said he was doing. They made up that stuff to justify the fact that they stormed his compound. Because there were people, followers, who said he never did any of that shit. But you had a couple of followers soon after that happened that said he did. And so there was a rift, if you will, between his followers after he was gone, I might add, that people said that he didn't do it and people said that he did. So, and then according to them, he was like, diddling all the kids. And then somebody said, no, he didn't, but he did take girls at the age of 16, 17 years old. He goes, that's legal in our state, the whole 9 yards. So there was a lot of shit that I think David Koresh was thrown under the bus about, and he was made to look like an evil man to justify the FBI and the ATF's bullshit. All right. So I saw a documentary on it that was pretty good. And when you start reading between the lines, you're like, yeah, something wasn't right here. So, yeah. All of that, all of that with Koresh was just weird. Like I said, I think Koresh was a kook. I think he was I wouldn't call him a psychopath, but I would definitely say he wasn't who he thought he was. He thought he was Christ. That's what he was thinking. So, all right, 400 CE, right, was a French bishop who predicted the world would end before this year. Then you had Hypothalamus of Rome. Sextus Julius Africanus predicted Jesus would return in the year of 500, and he didn't. Then you have various, theologians in year 1000. Following the failed prediction of the January 1st, 1000, some theorized the end would occur 1000 years after Jesus' death. And I don't think that happened, right? No. So then an Italian mystic, I don't even know what that is, but the year 1260 predicted the millennium would begin 1200 and 1260. And then, again, we're still here. Now, Harold Kemp, the 2011 idiot who was at Times Square with his followers, is saying now the new date is May 21st of next year, 2026. A date commemorating his previous failed prediction. He thinks that that's going to be the date that the world's going to end. He's going to be like, I got the calculations wrong, guys. I fucked this up. Whatever. Salvage this world, Michael Ferris Smith. Noir, excuse me. Yes, some influencers theorizing that 2012 the world did change, but if I'm not mistaken, there's a bunch of theories in the world changing. There is the Matrix theory of 2012. There is that our reality shifted because we went into a wormhole or a black hole. There's a couple theories with the 2012 and the reality changing thing. There's a few of them. So, yeah, again, everybody has their theory, but nonetheless, none of it has been proven. We're still here. The second coming of Christ has been something I've heard about since I was a kid, since my parents were kids, since my parents' parents were kids, and so on and so forth. And the second coming has not happened, right? And the thing is, I don't think we're going to, we are not supposed to know the exact date he's coming. If Christ does come back, and I say if because even I'm skeptical, if he does come back, we're not going to know. And it's going to surprise a lot of people. It's probably going to scare the shit out of a lot of people as well. But, yeah, it's just the prediction thing at the end of the world. We are never going to know the date, ever. But it is fun to go over these dates because I'm like, man, some of these dates are like, you know, some of these dates are, I wouldn't say epic, but they're just like, yo, they're a lot. All right, so the years 66 to 70, the claimant, if you will, or predictor, was Simon Bar Juar. He was the Jewish Enessa. I don't know what that means. But the Jewish Enessa sect of aesthetic saw the Jewish uprising against Rome in 66 and 70 in Judea as the final end-time battle which would bring the arrival of the Messiah. By the authority of Simon, coins were minted declaring the redemption of Israel. This was back in the year 66 through 70. Now, year 365. Hilary of Poitiers, a French bishop, announced the end of the world would happen that year. It didn't. Then you have the year 375 to 400, so it's a 25-year span. You had a French bishop state the world would end before 400 AD, writing, "There is no doubt that the anarchist had already been born, firmly established already in his earlier years. He will, after reaching maturity, achieve supreme power." This was Martin of Tours. That was the predictor, if you will. Again, the anarchist has been born, according to predictors or preachers or priests. The anarchist has been born probably a few hundred times already. He's been here, he's been lurking among us, and yeah, no dice, dude. We're still here. I'm trying to avoid the chat at all cost, but it's working actually because I'm getting a lot done. Edley, how would I feel with a lot of people? There was a lot of people on Rumble tonight. What the fuck's going on? Yeah, Noir. Yeah, the Mandela effect, the time zooming. Yeah, this time jump, a cut in time, whatever it is, reset. Yeah, deja vu. All of that shit is part of that theories, right, on time. And Edley, yes, if people disappeared overnight, I don't think the people would disappear overnight. I don't think it works that way. Again, it's my theory. And it's my theory that people are just going to drop to the ground. I don't think the Heavenly Father, if you will, can take the actual body, right? I think the body itself is going to stay behind, and the only body that counts is the spiritual body, right? So I think that's what it is. I know what it says in the Bible, but I don't think that's correct. Because so far, guys, a lot of things in the Bible have been wrong. And not that things have been wrong. People interpret a lot of the Bible wrong. And why? And how do I know that? It's a fact. Because a lot of these priests who read the Bible read it wrong. We're still here, right? Yes, Rhonda, I heard we get new bodies. I heard all of that. And again, I'm not here to dispute a lot of it. I'm going to disagree with a lot of it. So I guess I am disputing it. But I'm going to disagree with a lot of it, but I don't know. My answer to all of that is I don't know. None of us knows. These people here talking about the second coming of Christ. This was back in the year 500. Here we are. Hasn't come back yet. April 6th, year 793. Beatus of Libana, a Spanish monk, prophesied the second coming of Christ again and the end of the world on that day in front of a large crowd of people. He professed that to a large crowd of people. Again, then you had the Hypothalamus of Rome in the year 500. All three predictions, Jesus would return this year, with one of the predictions being based in the dimension of the ark. Again, got that wrong. Sextus Julius Africanus, Christian historian, revised his prediction from the year 500 to 800. So again, it didn't happen, and then he moved the timeline, right? You had Gregory of Tours, a French bishop, calculated the end of the world between the year 799 to the year 806. You have the year 847, Theotha, a Christian, declared the year 847 that the world would end that year, though later confessed the prediction was fraudulent, and he was publicly flogged. I like that. He got the prediction wrong because he got everybody in a tizzy, and they were like, but you lied to us. But that the Christ told, no, he didn't. Flog. And I'm going to tell you right now, flogging's got to hurt. On your back, shit. I told you guys, I got hit in the back with a belt once, and I saw stars. And that was a belt. Flogging, you're passing out. I know you are. That pain is just too much. All your nerve endings are back there. Anyway, the year 992 to 995, various Christians on Good Friday coincided with the Feast of the Annunciation. This had long been believed to be the event that would bring forth the Antichrist, thus the end times, within 3 years. That was back in year 992 to 995. Then you had January 1st of the year 1000. Various Christians also predicted the end of the world, like we predicted the end of the world in the year 2000 because of computers and shit, and we're still here. And this was by Pope Sylvester II. Various Christian clerics predicted the date as the millennium, including the Pope Sylvester II. As a result, riots are said to have occurred in Europe, and pilgrims headed east to Jerusalem. Many historians, however, disputed that any of these events ever took place. All right. So they're saying that there were no riots and shit like that. Year 1033, various Christians, following the failure, this is 33 years later, various Christians, following the failure of January 1st, year 1000, some theorists proposed that the end of the world would occur 1,000 years after death instead of his birth. Which wouldn't be, I guess, I don't know. All right. Then there was the Joachim of Fiore, if I'm saying that, an Italian mystic, determined that the millennium would begin between 1200 and 1260, those years. Then he had 1284, like 1984. Anyway, 1284, Pope Innocent III. Innocent III died the year 1216, predicted that the world would end 666 years after the rise of Islam. Interesting. But we're still here. Now, speaking of the number, the year 666, remember that stupid movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, The End of Days? Remember when he did? That movie was such garbage. I remember when I sat in the movie, I was so pissed at this one scene where the priest is like, the year 1999 is really the year 666. I'm like, so what happens to the one? It just fell off? Like, you know, he wrote 1999 and he shows Arnold Schwarzenegger, then he flips it upside down and he's like, it's really the year 666. I'm like, wait, what? That was the dumbest thing in the world. And the movie, well, I mean, like, outside of that, the movie was actually garbage. But because I like Arnold Schwarzenegger's action films, I sat through it as angrily as I could. Anyway, year 1368 to 1370, the French alchemists predicted that the Antichrist was to come in the year 1366, and the millennium would begin earlier in 1368 or 1370, and it never happened. 1378, another prediction of another Antichrist that never came. Oh, sorry, Antichrist, my bad. Antichrist, excuse me. I don't know why I keep saying Anarchist. Antichrist. So the Antichrist, so far, as we read it, has returned 3 times, or was born 3 times already, or maybe 4. So this is all by centuries, I might add. Now, the biggest century of end of the world right now is the 20th century. The 20th century has the most end of the world dates. And in fact, I'm going to skip around to a lot of these because I can't read all of these. I didn't realize how long this shit was. But that was, we were in the first millennium, and then we were in the 11th and 15th millennium. And again, this is all according to the second coming of Christ, the Antichrist, and then the Black Plague back in 1346 to 1351 was actually considered a sign of the end of the world. So this was various Europeans. The Black Plague spreading across Europe was interpreted to many as a sign of the end of the world. This was a disease. I'm pretty sure we had people think the same thing. This is in the 11th and 15th century. Let's see, Paul. That was interesting. And I skipped over that one. Sorry. The Antichrist is coming back in 1378, and in 1492, various Russian Christians, many Russian Orthodox Christians, began from the 1400s, believed this year they would see Christ's return, since it would have been the end of the 7th millennium and the start of the 8th millennium, the year 8000. According to the Byzantine calendar, if I said that right, in the year 1408, this is believed to lead the Russian Orthodox Church making the decision not to compute the date of Easter beyond 1491. Again, Kool-Aid, where are you? There you are. All right. Yes, World War, I could see that happen. Listen, what's going to cause the end of the world is humans' own destruction. Our destruction, guys, is going to cause our demise. Nothing else. It's not going to be, I guess the Bible does have that kind of stuff in there, but we are going to be our own demise. That's it. It's not going to be a date. It's not going to be the second coming of Christ. It's not going to be the rapture. It's going to be us. We are going to end our own shit. Because how many times, guys, can we sit here and have predictions and listen to predictions by all of these people and they all got it wrong? Now, in the 16th century, there was a few here. There was painters, there was astrologers, there was more priests, there was a German and then a Baptist. Again, all of these people, a mathematician, calculated Judgment Day would begin at 8 a.m. on the year October 19th of 1533. They thought the end of the world would occur. Then you had 1528, May 27th. Again, a German and a Baptist, if I said that right, the end of the world was going to occur on that day. We have all of these dates beginning, and each millennium that began, which is I think 2 so far, right? You had 1000 and 2000. We were supposed to end. We weren't supposed to be here. Now, I bring all of this up because you have YouTubers with their channels that scare people every week. And every week they tell us that the world's coming to an end. And every week something new is going to end the population. And here we are, still in 2025 of September the 2nd. Now I'm going to get to the 20th century. I'm going to read the entire 20th century because I think a lot of us can resonate with that, especially starting after the year 1950 and 1960. So we're definitely going to go down that. But I mean, I'm looking at all of this shit here. April 5th of 1534, there was a Munster rebellion. An Anabaptist leader declared the apocalypse would take place on this day. The day came and led to a failed attack against the Franz von Waldeck and he was decapitated, and that was in the year 1534. So people making these declarations that the world's coming to an end, and it doesn't. 1588, a mathematician and an astronomer predicted the world would end that year. Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther, a German priest and professor of theology, predicted the world would end. The end of the world would occur no later than 1600. And now, again, whatever. These dates are funny. These people are funny. There's a lot of dates. You know what? I'm going to give you guys the link. It's a Wikipedia link. This is like dating most of these things. The 18th century, if I'm not mistaken, there was another disease that broke out, and they thought the world was going to end then. You had the May 19th, of 1780, the sky turning dark that way was interpreted as a sign of the end of the time. The primary cause of the event had to be a combination of smoke from a forest, thick fog, and cloud coverage. That was a Connecticut General Assembly in New England in May 1780. Sorry, 1780. Excuse me. 7080. I don't think any humans will be here, but that's, whatever. I don't think there'll be a lot of humans left on the planet. 2 years, the preacher predicted the world would end. You had Harriet Livermore. This is a female preacher. She predicted that the world would end in the year 1843. If I'm not mistaken, I think that is the first female to predict the end of the world. Nope, sorry. Mary Batman, 1806, Leeds, England. In 1806, a hen began laying eggs on which the phrase "Christ is coming" was written. Eventually, it was discovered to be a hoax. The owner, Mary Benton, had written on the eggs in a corrosive ink so as it etched the egg and reinserted back into the hen. No shit. The hen's oviducts. You can do that? All right. That was Mary Bateman. That was the first. And she didn't predict it. She created a hoax. I guess the first predictor would be Harriet Livermore. And nope. And then you have, sorry. It looks like the 19th century, women started being heard, because right after the 1800s, 1806, 1814, on October 19, Joanna Southcock, this 64-year-old self-described prophet, claimed that she was pregnant with Christ's child. That the baby would be born October 19, 1814. She died the year having not delivered a child. Autopsy proved that she had not been pregnant. Wonder why she passed away. That's a witch call. That's a better one. Then you had meteorite showers, and several people, including Joseph Smith, believed that was a sign of Christ's coming. Again, this is all based on stupidity. I'm sorry. This is all stupid. And the thing is, guys, Christ is coming, or he might be coming. When? When is he coming? I mean, these people got it wrong, and these people swore up and down that he was coming. Deary Night Writing said this is blasphemy. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I'm just reading what's online. Yes, Mia, that's the problem, is that the Bible is complex, and I don't think the Bible was meant for us to figure out, but these people trying to figure it out. And there's one part of me that, are these people just looking for the fame, looking for the glory, looking for the recognition? Because they all got it wrong. Right? And so, I mean, again, now there was a lot of dates in the 20th century. A bunch of them were early 1900s, right? And obviously a lot of us weren't alive. But again, you had more women, Camille, Annie, Margaret, a lot of women now stating that the world was going to end on such a day. And Margaret Rowan, actually, 1925, September 13, according to this Seventh-day Adventist, the angel Gabriel appeared before her in a vision and told her the world would end at midnight on this date. And it didn't. So again, and for everybody who's, like writing, Christ is coming back, and this is, dude. Again, if he's born already, then he should be walking amongst us. Um, Again, everybody gets it wrong, and the crazy shit is, you got people today. You got people. You should have been covering this Chinese parade. Yeah, next time. There are people who still think they got the date in mind, or that they figured it out. There is no Mia. The problem is, there is no helping to understand anything. The everybody's got it wrong. People read it in the Bible. People calculated the numbers wrong. Everybody on here got it wrong. There is no understanding. People want to understand what they want to understand and believe what they want to believe, because they want to be heard first, or they just misinterpret it, or this is just all made up. All of the end of the world dates. People just got it wrong because they were fucking idiots. That's the bottom line. If you're going to sit here and argue that he's coming, when? Right? I mean, again, I know that if he does come, it's going to be a surprise. We're not going to know the date. But these people swore, and they gave dates, even times, that Christ is coming back. Now, I'm going to start with 1972, because a lot of the other dates, if anybody was born, I don't think anybody on here was born in 36 and on. 1941, Jehovah's Witnesses also predicted the end of the world as well. That was in 1941. Didn't happen. 1943, 1947. Again, end of the world predictions didn't work. Right? And they had 3 revised dates from Herbert Armstrong. He gave 3 revised end of the world dates. 1936 was his first, and nothing happened. And then he predicted it again, 1943. He got it wrong 3 times. Let's see. So, let's start with the year I was born, because I'm skipping a bunch of years in the 1900s. Dan Phillips, you were not born in 1930, whatever. You were born in 1931? No way. All right, wait, hold on. 1931. The closest I can get for you is 1935. The evangelist announced that the world is going to go poof. I shit you not. He says this, or puff, and disappear in September 1935. That was Wilbert Glenn Viola. Oh, Voliva, excuse me. That was 1935. Hopefully that helps. Rhonda, 1961. The closest I can get is 1962, February 4th. Gene Dixon. Dixon predicted the planetary alignment on this day was to bring destruction on the world. Mass prayer meetings were held in India. She was various Indian astrologers. Hopefully that helps. 1980, 63. So you're 94. There's no way a 94-year-old's watching this channel. You got better shit to do, dude, than watch this channel. My dad was born in 1931. 1961. There is no 61. The closest one is 62. Gene Dixon. I read that. 67 and 80. 67. Okay. George Vance Tassel. This day would mark the beginning of the third woe of the apocalypse, during which the southeastern U.S. would be destroyed by a Soviet nuclear attack, according to this UFO prophet, George Van Tassel, who claimed to have channeled an alien named Ashtar. Oh my God. Okay. He's going to make me click on it. Ashtar is the name given to an extraterrestrial being or a group of beings that a number of people claim to have channeled. Ashtar. No shit. So Ashtar is a channeled alien? Okay. David Schultz, 1949. The best I can do is 1947. John Ballou Newborough, an author of Ophes, the New Bible, foresaw the destruction of all nations and the beginning of the apocalyptic anarchy that year of 1947. All right, let's jump right to, this one. David Berg, The Children of God, predicted the world would be a Colossus Doomsday event, heralded by comet, I don't know how to pronounce that last one, Kuotek? That was David Berg. I just learned about the Children of God from somebody in the firehouse. Another group, Mansion predicted the Helter Skelter, an apocalyptic race war. would occur in 1969. That was Charles Manson. Sorry, Charles Manson. The Helter Skelter, wasn't that a group? Helter Skelter Scenario. Helter Skelter was a rap group, excuse me. But Helter Skelter Scenario is an apocalyptic vision that was supposedly embraced by Charles Manson and the members of his family. At the trial of Manson and 3 others of the Tate LaBonica murder, the prosecution presented it as a motivation for the crime. Oh, no shit. Right, and that was on this guy's wife that was killed, and she was pregnant during that whole Charles Manson era. All right, 1977, we got 2. That's the year I was born. The founder of the Christian Israelite Church predicted that this year was a year for Armageddon. That's because I was born that year. So yes, Armageddon would suffice. And William H. Branham, the Christian minister, predicted the rapture would occur no later than 1977. 1980, Leland Jensen predicted in 1978 that there would be a nuclear disaster in 1980, followed by 2 decades of conflict, culminating in God's kingdom being established on earth. 81, Chuck Smith, the founder of the Cavalier Chapel, predicted that the generation of the 1948 would be the last generation and the world would end in 1981. Smith said that he could be wrong, but added that his prediction has deep conviction in his heart, and all my plans are predicated upon that belief. Again, guys, how about 1953? RJ, give me a second. So again, I say this last part, that this guy, Chuck Smith, in 1981, said that he had deep conviction in his heart that this was going to happen. A lot of you guys have this, what you call it, in your heart, that the second coming of Christ is coming soon. A lot of these people thought that too. A lot of these people thought that 1,000 years ago. So at some point, guys, you got to let it go. 1968, Prepper Revelator. Let's see, the best I can do. I'm going to give you 2. 1967, Jim Jones, the founder of the People's Temple, stated that he had a vision of a nuclear holocaust was to take place in 1967. 1969, August 9th, George Williams, the founder of the Church of the Firstborn, predicted the second coming of Christ would occur on this day. All right. Again, people, do you see a pattern here? And the nuclear thing, guys, the nuclear predictions or visions, I think was because people were being subliminally controlled or subliminal suggestions that nuclear war was going to break out every day. So, of course, you would have a dream or a vision that this was going to happen. Again, George Van Tassel of 1967 thought that the Soviet Union was going to attack the United States and destroy the United States, the southeastern United States, right? You had all of these people, guys, who thought that nuclear war or nuclear apocalypse was going to happen. Why? Because they were subtly seduced into thinking that this shit was going to happen, right? Harry Herman said 1953. I thought I read that. Oh, okay, 1953, the best I can do. 1954, December 21st, Dorothy Martin. The world would be destroyed by a terrible flood on this date, claiming this leader of a UFO cult called the Brotherhood of the Seven Rays. What is that? Some Star Trek shit. The fallout of the group after the prediction failed was based on a 1956 book, When Prophecies Fail. Ha! Nice. That was 1954. Henry. 1957. The Best I Can Do. 1959. April 22nd. Florence Houteff. The second prophet of the Branch Davidian predicted the apocalypse foretold in the Book of Revelation would proceed on this date. Got that wrong. The failure of the prophecy led to the split in the sect into several subjects, the most prominent led by Benjamin and Louis Rodin. Interesting. Branch Davidian. That's the second prophet of the Branch Davidian. Excuse me. All right. Let's see. The Book of Spam. No, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. That was an accident. I thought I read that. It wasn't. 1953 was the year the Russians had the hydrogen bomb. Right. And again, a picture being scared all the time, right? Like they're always reminding you that the Russians got a nuke, the Russians got a nuke. And so you start getting, it starts seeping into your subconscious, and then you go to sleep and you have these dreams or visions, and then you start seeing this shit. All right, all right, all right. So we did 1977. You had 19. Let's go 1980. No, we did that. Leland Jensen. Yes, we did. 1981. Nope, we did that too. 1982. Almost every year, guys, from the year I was born. And no, starting in 1980, almost every year we had an end of the world prediction. March. Let's go 82. Excuse me. June to April of 1982, Tara sent us full page adverts in many newspapers dated the 24th and 25th of April 1982 stated Christ is now here and that he would make himself known within the next 2 months. That's not an end of the world prediction. That's predicting that Christ is coming. 1982, March 10, John Gribbins. Gribbins, an astrophysicist, co-author of the 1974 book Jupiter Effect, which predicted the combined gravitational force of aligned planets will create a number of catastrophes, including great earthquakes on the San Andreas Fault. Wrong. 1982, June to 2021. I'm sorry, June 21st of 1982, Benjamin Creme. Creme took out an ad in the Los Angeles Times stating that the second coming would occur in June 1982 and that the Maitreya announced it worldwide on television. Pat Robinson, 1982. In late 1976, Robinson predicted on the 700 Club TV program that the world would end in that year. Didn't end in 1985, so we skipped 84 and 83. Lester Small, the Pentecostal preacher, predicted the end of the world of that year, even writing a book about it entitled Predict 1985. 1986, Leland Johnson again predicted that the Halley's Comet would be pulled into the Earth's orbit on that day, would cause widespread destruction. Joseph Urregulas, Spanish dude, 1987. August 17, 1987. Jose claimed that the Armageddon would happen unless, 144,000 people gathered in a certain place across the world in order to resonate in harmony on this day. I find that interesting, guys, because this is the first time I'm reading about it. And I had wrote a short story about a meteor coming towards the planet Earth, and that people had to get together and use like positive vibes, but it wasn't called positive vibes in the book. And anyway, they had to pray, and the asteroid missed the planet. And I did that as a kid. I didn't know about Jose 1987, August 17. And now Leland Jensen, the Halley's Comet, that was April 29th, 1986. Then he had Edgar Weinstein predicted in his book 88 Reasons Why the Rapture Could Be in 1988 that the rapture of the Christian church would occur between 11 and the 13th of September in 88. After this prediction failed to come true, Weinstein revised his prediction for October 3rd of 1988. 1989, Eggert again. After all his predictions in 88 failed to come true, Weinstein revised his prediction to the date of September 30th, 1989. 1990, Elizabeth Clare. This prophet predicted a nuclear war would start on this day and the world would end 12 years later, leading her followers to stockpile a shelter with supplies and weapons. After prophet predictions did not come to pass, she later diagnosed with epilepsy and Alzheimer's disease. No shit. September 9th, 91, a Russian-born rabbi called the Messiah was to come by to start the Jewish New Year. Louis Farrakhan, leader of the Nation of Islam, declared the Gulf War would be the war Armageddon, which is a final war. That was 1991, right? That was that Desert Storm in 1991? Again, Louis Farrakhan threw his 2 cents in there. Got that one. And every time, guys, we see a war starting overseas, we're all thinking Third World War or the end of it. I don't think, and I said a couple of these wars are not going to be the end. But if Russia and China got fully invested or fully involved, we would see it. Now, do I think we're going to see a war that's going to end humanity? No. Russia, China, United States has a plan for us. It's a controlled plan. So if they're going to control the human race, if you will, or put us in these C40 cities or 15-minute cities or whatever cities you think they're going to put us in, why would they start a third world war to end humanity when they want to control humanity? So I'm starting to think that the third world war is not really going to happen. All right. So we got a couple minutes left. Let's get through these 90s, because these 90s are rough, guys. 92, Roland Stewart. This born-again Christian predicted a rapture would take place on 1992, September 28. 1992, October 28. Li Jiangreen. Li, a leader of a Dami Mission Church, predicted rapture would occur on this day. It didn't. 93, David Birch predicted the tribulation would start in 1989 and the second coming of Christ would take place in 1993. Edgar Weinstein, again, this asshole. After 1988 and 1989 prediction failed, Weinstein moved the outer limits of his prediction to 93. Then when the 93 prediction failed to materialize, Weinstein updated the end of the world date to 1994. This guy doesn't stop. He's just fucking here. All right. Neil Chase, May 2nd, 1994. The Baha'i sect leader predicted that New York City would be destroyed by a nuclear bomb on March 23rd, 1994. The Battle of Armageddon would take place 40 days later. Harold Camp, this motherfucker again. September 6th, September 29th, September 6th, 1994, September 29th, 1994, October 2nd, 1995, Harold Camp predicted the rapture would take place or occur September 6, 94. When it failed, he revised his date to September 29th and then October 2nd of 95. Then, Harold Camping again, 1995 of March 31st, he predicted his fourth prediction that the world would end on that date, and then he revised it to 2011. Yes, assholes never stop. It's amazing. And Harold Camp is just like, I'm going to get it right one day. Yeah, you're going to get it right. If I throw shit against the wall, eventually something's going to stick, right? If I throw a wet wad of fucking toilet paper against the wall, some of it's going to stick. I mean, whatever, man. This is dumb. This is stupid. So let's see. Let's go on and go forward. We had end of the world prediction dates. I'm not going to read out the what you call it because we only got 5 minutes. But we have December 17th, 1996, excuse me. March 26th, 1997. October 23rd, 1997. March 31st, 1998. July 1999. Nostradamus stated that the King of Terror would come from the sky in 1999 in 7 months, which would be July 99, as frequently misinterpreted as a prediction of a doomsday date. Then you had August 18th, 99, September 11th of 1999. You had the year of 1999. You had two groups predicting that the world would end in that year. Then you had the 21st century, 2000. In the year 2000, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 predictions that the world would end in the year 2000. 11 predictors, right? And then you had January 1st of 2000. You had Yes, you had 1999 Charles Berlitz. That's the guy that predicted the world would end and that there would be nuclear devastation and an asteroid hitting us and a polar shift all happening in that 1 year. That was 99. Then 2000, you had 11 people saying the world was going to end. You could read it for yourself. Some of these predictions are interesting. Some of them are also stupid. Then you had January 1st of 2000. You had 4 people said the world was going to end. and one of them being the Y2K bug spreading throughout the computers, and that didn't happen. Then you had May 5th of 2000. Then you had 2001, and the Nation of Islam predicted that the world would end that year. You had 2003, nothing. 2002, May 27th. You had October 30th to November 29th of 2003. You had the subway attack, the Tokyo subway attack, the sarin attack. They predicted that the world would end in the year 2003. You had 2006, 2007, 2010, 2011, three times. Harold Camping, both those years. Again, he went to Times Square, sat there, the world didn't end. You had September 29th of 2011. Ronald Whelan also predicted that the world would come to an end and that Jesus will return on the date of September 29th, 2011. Keep in mind, he also predicted that Christ was going to come back May 27th of 2012. That didn't happen. Harold Camping strikes again, October 21st, 2011. August to October 2011, various people thought that the comet Elenin would travel almost directly between the path of the Earth and the Sun. That would cause the disturbance of the Earth's crust, making a whole shift change. And comet Elenin actually, if I'm not mistaken, flew right into the Sun, disappeared. Right? So then we had May 27, 2012, May 30th, 2012, December 21st, 2012. We all know that one. Then you had 2013, 2020, 2014, 15, 2017, nothing. 2016. You had 2018, 19, 20, and 21. My fucking God. All right, so I got 3 minutes left. Here are the future dates of when the world's going to end. 2026. In accordance to the prediction of the Riaz Ahmed Gora Shahi book, The Religion of God, this spiritual organization believes that the world will end when an asteroid collides with Earth in 2026. That is next year. Then you have 2060, Isaac Newton. In a unpublished manuscript, Newton made a reference to the year 2060, which in 2004 was falsely reported by mainstream media as the date of the end of the world. Newton actually predicted a date before which the world would definitely not end in order to calm people's fears about the apocalypse. 2029, I hope to still be here by then. According to the Sunni Muslim theologian, the world will end in the year 2129, excuse me, not 2029, 2129. The world's going to end again. 2239, according to the opinions about the Talmud in mainstream Orthodox Judaism, the Messiah will come within 6,000 years of the creation of Adam, and the world may be destroyed in 1,000 years later. This would put the beginning period of the desolation in 2239 and the end of the world period, in 3239. The fuck does that mean? Anyway, according to Egyptian American biochemist, researcher of the Quran, the world will end in 2280. Whatever, dude. I'm so tired of this shit. Anyway, guys, hopefully that was chaotic and fun because they threw a lot of dates at us. Yes, we'll be okay. That's the whole point of this, guys. The whole point of this entire live stream is that we will be fine. It will be okay. There's so many dates thrown on it. There's even something this month, the 23rd of September, some shit. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it up. Susan brought it up as soon as I mentioned it. The 23rd and the 24th is supposed to be a fucking end of the world. Come on, man. This is all bullshit. Enough already. I had enough. You know how much of enough of it I had about the end of the world? This is how much of enough of it I had.